Welcome to Zines and Roger. This is a tutorial for a join as you go granny square. This is a small piece that I'm actually going to turn into a bag in another tutorial. See, I've already started up here. But I thought I'd do a tutorial that showed you how to do the basic join as you go granny square and do it as a separate video, because I know that some people already know how to make it and others don't, so I'm just giving people the option. You make them join as you go by working in rows. So you join this one to this one, this one to this one, and so forth, and then you do the second row by joining here, and then when you come to this one you're joining to this one and this one, and then here to here, and so on. So you do that in rows until you've got your desired size blanket, base for a bag, whatever it is. This particular one is in acrylic double knit, but you can use whatever you like. With the acrylic double knit I'm using a 4mm hook. So I'll use a sample to show you how it works. It is dead easy, and I thought I would do the tutorial because, believe it or not, there are quite a few different ways of doing granny squares, and if you used a different technique it might work out slightly differently. To make your first granny square, and all the other granny squares, so with a slip knot on your hook, chain 5. And join it together end to end with a slip stitch. Chain 3, and then do 2 UK trebles or US doubles, and so you've made your first cluster. Chain 2, and then make 3 US doubles, UK trebles, sorry about the seagulls if you can hear them, they've been very noisy today. After the first round you've got 4 clusters, and that's your square. To join the square, yarn over, go under the first 3 chains. I mean, you're supposed to go into the top, but to be honest with you I don't think it makes much of a difference. Yarn over, pull through, and then you've got 3 loops on your hook, and you're sort of doing a half double crochet if you're using US terms, half treble crochet if you're using UK terms, and that finishes off the square. So you're always starting in the corner space, and then you can chain 3, and then in the corner space work your first cluster of round 2, and that's your starting point. In the next chain space it's a corner, so you want to do 2 clusters with 2 chains in the middle. Chain 2, and then another cluster. So it's the same in each corner space. 1 cluster, 2 chains, 1 cluster. Here is the beginning, and I'm about to do a cluster in that same corner to finish off. And again, yarn over, go underneath the first chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. I'm aware that not all grannies are started and finished the same way, but that's how I do it. And it's the same, round 3 is the same, apart from it's getting bigger. So now we've got this space here where we can put a cluster as well. And the corners are the same. And so you carry on round 3 in the same way. I have made a start on round 4. I started here and worked all the way around, and I've got one edge to do. So I've got half the clusters in the 2 corner spaces, but they're not either of them. Neither of them are complete. We want to join this square to our other grannies. So your very first square will always be a finished granny square. Your next one will be like this. And then you're going to join it to the original one. To do that, I could work here and work all the way down here, but I'm going to do it here because in a minute I'll show you how to do the corner one. And I can't do that if I've just got a long straight line. So slip stitch it to the corner of your original granny and chain 1. Then finish off the corner cluster whilst attached to this one. So it's just 3 stitches in the corner. I'm just going to move my hand. So there's your corner, and you're a little bit attached to this one. You want to be more attached to it, so you're going to slip stitch between the next 2 clusters, this one and this one. We're going to slip stitch in the gap. So hook through, pull the yarn through and slip stitch. And so, oops, you're now attached there and there. Then make a cluster. So yarn over to make your first treble, US double, and make 2 more. And then do the same, you slip stitch in the next space and make your next cluster, and so on. I'm in the corner, so I'm just going to make the last cluster. Then I shall join it with a slip stitch into the corner of the other square, chain 1 and then slip stitch to the top of the 3 chain. So it's a slightly different finish for this square. And then you can cut it loose if you're clever enough to have scissors, which apparently I'm not. Fasten off your pink one once you've found some scissors, and then you've got yourself a corner space. It's all the same technique for joining them end to end, so make that as long as you like before starting on the next row. So this is the first block of the next row, and the next one you've got 2 sides. So when you're on round 4 of your granny square, work 2 complete sides and leave the other 2 spare to begin joining to the blanket or whatever it is you're making. I started here and I've worked this side and that side, and now we want to fix it to these 2 corners. So join it with a slip stitch and then finish off that corner with another cluster. And then as before, you're working your subsequent clusters and then slip stitching in between the spaces so that you're joining as you go. So make the first cluster in the corner space. And then slip stitch in the corresponding corner space of this block because you're facing here and here, and then the same in this one because you're next door to this guy as well. So you slip stitch in this one and then this one, and then you make your next cluster in that corner, and that's your corner done then. And then as before, you just slip stitch in between the next two clusters, and there's your corner done. And just carry on to the end. Slip stitch in the corner space, chain 1, join with a slip stitch to the top of the 3 chain, and fasten off. And that is how you join as you go. Then make it into a blanket or make it into a bag. And that is it. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in just a moment because I'm going to start filming the bag tutorial right now. Thanks ever so much. Cheers. Bye bye.